The T-Rex is undoubtedly one of the most famous dinosaurs. But it's also one of the most terrifying, so much so that just seeing it would trigger primal fear and dread. And that's not just hyperbole. We're used to seeing it in movies as massive, loud, and clumsy, but that's not accurate. In reality, it possessed many hidden abilities that made it one of the Cretaceous period's most chilling predators. This article will reveal some truly surprising facts. We'll explore why you wouldn't have been able to hide from a Rex, how it masked its presence, and why you likely wouldn't have even heard it approaching. We'll also look at whether tyrannosaurs could have been even larger than we imagine, what gave them such a terrifying gaze, and what would happen if you found yourself in the Cretaceous period, deep in its territory. Indeed, the T-Rex stands out as one of the most frightening dinosaurs, and it's not just because it was physically powerful, gargantuan, or a carnivore. It had many other characteristics that are rarely discussed. For instance, one of the most astonishing facts is that you might not even realize a T-Rex was already right behind you. Scientists have specifically studied the Tyrannosaur's feet to understand how such an enormous and seemingly loud predator could possibly stalk its prey. And interestingly, the T-Rex's feet, much like those of some other predatory theropods, had a unique structure that allowed them to mask the sounds and vibrations of their thunderous steps. Let me explain that more clearly. Modern elephants, when walking, create ground vibrations that can be detected up to 20 miles (32 kilometers) away. These seismic vibrations and tremors are often a more reliable way to transmit information than sounds carried through the air, as the latter are heavily impacted by weather, wind, and vegetation. Researchers have examined the footprint shapes of various dinosaurs, including the T-Rex, and uncovered an intriguing characteristic. It turns out that the unique shape of their feet created a peculiar pattern for the propagation of these seismic waves. Over a distance of about 65 feet, 20 meters, these waves spread in a distinct way. The closer the predator got to you, the lower the intensity of these vibrations became. This meant a prey animal ahead wouldn't grasp how close the T-Rex truly was. And as the T-Rex neared its prey, the intensity of the ground vibrations remained constant instead of increasing, as would typically be expected. Scientists have dubbed this phenomenon seismic masking. Essentially, it's akin to nature's own version of stealth technology. Predatory dinosaurs could have gained an evolutionary advantage from this foot shape, which helped them remain undetected while approaching prey. And what's fascinating is that herbivorous dinosaurs didn't possess this particular trick. Evolution might have developed not just visible adaptations for hunting, such as sharp teeth or powerful legs, but also more subtle enhancements related, for example, to the physics of vibration propagation through the ground. So, if you were transported to the Cretaceous period, you wouldn't hear a tyrannosaur's footsteps, only their vibrations. And even from those vibrational cues, you wouldn't be able to gauge how far away it was until it was so close that fleeing would be futile. It's terrifying to imagine nearly 10 tons suddenly appearing behind you. This, by the way, is further proof that they weren't just scavengers but active hunters. Of course, this isn't the only characteristic that made the Tyrannosaur a true terror. We all know the T-Rex was enormous, nearly 43 feet, 13 meters, long and weighing 10 tons. However, they also varied in size. Some were slightly smaller, like Stan, which was 36 feet, 11 meters, long, while others were a bit larger, such as Scotty, nearly 43 feet, 13 meters. We humans also come in different sizes. Some of us are 5 feet 7 inches, 170 centimeters tall, while others are 6 feet 3 inches, 190 centimeters. But then there are those rare individuals over 6 feet 6 inches, 2 meters, tall, and even more exceptionally, people like Victor Wembanyama, who stands at 7 feet 4 inches, 225 centimeters. Such people are extremely rare, but did similarly rare giant T-Rexes exist? Logically, if the average T-Rex measured around 39 feet, 12 meters, just how massive could those super rare tyrannosaurs have been, the ones that surpassed their peers? Turns out, scientists, diving deep into the biomechanics, have crunched the numbers on those supersized, rarest of the rare T-Rexes. Even an average T-Rex was a colossal beast, but those exceptionally rare, truly gargantuan individuals could stretch almost 50 feet long. But the question is, could they have gotten any larger? Sadly, the answer is a resounding highly unlikely. Even basic physics and biomechanics put a cap on their size. And from an ecosystem perspective, they simply couldn't have sustained themselves or moved with any real speed if they were any bigger. So, those rarest of the rare giant T-Rexes topped out at about 50 feet in length and a hefty 14 tons in weight. While we're unlikely to ever unearth the full remains of such truly gigantic tyrannosaurs, it's not because they didn't exist. It's highly probable that these unusually massive T-Rexes were born occasionally. A T-Rex of that sheer scale would have been incredibly rare, with estimates suggesting it would take roughly 1,000 years of excavation just to stumble upon a single skeleton of that size. However, there's compelling indirect evidence suggesting even larger T-Rexes existed than those we've already dug up. Take Sue, for instance, one of the largest T-Rex specimens ever found, measuring a formidable 41 feet long. Scientists believe she was likely taken down by another tyrannosaur that was slightly bigger than her. They deduced this by examining the spacing of tooth marks left on Sue's skeleton, which indicated a predator with a slightly wider bite. Plus, numerous fragmentary remains have been unearthed that paleontologists estimate came from T-Rexes larger than Sue. So, a 13-ton tyrannosaur wasn't all that uncommon, and even 14-ton giants might have occasionally roamed the Earth. And, of course, a 15-ton T-Rex might have very rarely existed during the Mesozoic era, but they were definitely a colossal rarity. Now, just picture a 14-ton behemoth like that sneaking up right behind you. And believe me, that's not even the half of it. If you ever imagined a T-Rex, for all its size, danger, and silent approach, was a lumbering, clumsy brute you could easily outmaneuver or outrun, then you're gravely mistaken. The truth is, it possessed one of the lowest rotational moments of inertia among any large predatory dinosaur, a quality also known as rotational inertia. This meant that the massive T-Rex possessed astonishing agility. If its prey attempted a sharp turn mid-chase, the tyrannosaur could pivot instantly, practically executing an almost complete turnaround on the spot to follow right along. This capability made the tyrannosaur an even more effective hunter, and trying to escape it by attempting evasive maneuvers is an exceptionally terrible idea. This completely debunks the widespread myth that T-Rex was big but slow and unwieldy, so don't even think about trying to circle it or zigzag. Its low center of gravity and rotational inertia would help it effortlessly run you down. And naturally, don't even for a second imagine you could somehow survive if a Rex ever caught you. The crushing power of its jaws, according to various specialist estimates, ranged from 4 to 7 tons or more, averaging out to nearly 6 tons of pressure. That's 6 times stronger than a saltwater crocodile, the current bite force champ among living creatures, and an astonishing nearly 15 times more powerful than the bite of the modern king of the jungle, the lion. Its jaws were a true weapon of mass destruction, and just one bite was enough to obliterate its prey's bones into smithereens. Human bones would have been pulverized with ridiculous ease. But if you're thinking you could simply hide from it, prepare to be thoroughly disappointed again. The T-Rex possessed some of the largest olfactory bulbs known. This means its ability to track prey by scent was nothing short of phenomenal. A T-Rex had an incredibly sophisticated scent processing system. Its nasal cavity was long, offering a vast surface area designed to trap scent molecules. What's more, air moved at varying speeds within different sections of the T-Rex's nose. Scientists theorized this allowed it to distinguish between scents with greater precision, as some odor molecules are better detected in a fast airflow, while others are caught more effectively in a slow one. And this means a tyrannosaur could easily pinpoint your location within a mile radius. And you've probably already guessed this isn't even the full story. Scientists have discovered that the Tyrannosaurus Rex had an unusually long cochlea in its inner ear. The longer the cochlea, the better an animal can hear and distinguish different sounds, especially low-frequency ones. What's more, its skull contained extensive air cavities that acted as resonators, amplifying low-frequency sounds. This means a T-Rex could pick up the movement of large prey from a great distance, or even communicate with its own kind over significant ranges, much like modern elephants do. But it also means a T-Rex heard far better than any human, and if you couldn't hear it, that certainly didn't mean it couldn't hear you. Beyond all these terrifying traits, the Tyrannosaurus also possessed an incredibly menacing gaze. Unlike some other large predatory dinosaurs, the T-Rex had binocular vision, meaning it could fix both eyes on you, which looks far more unsettling than anything depicted in movies. But it wasn't just about the scary appearance, its eyes were also uniquely designed to track fast-moving objects with incredible precision. Thanks to the structure of its inner ear and eye muscles, it possessed what's called a vestibulo-ocular reflex, a system that allows an animal to keep its gaze fixed on an object even while its head is moving. And for anyone who still believes the T-Rex was merely a scavenger, take note, its vision and ability to quickly fixate and follow objects clearly mark it as an active predator, one that needed to react swiftly to the movements of its prey. Interestingly, the T-Rex's head posture was also optimized for optimal visual focus. When poised for action, its head would tilt slightly downward, around 10 degrees, providing it with an ideal field of view. Now, imagine it watching you from the shadows with that binocular vision, and you simply wouldn't be able to escape its terrifying gaze, which would react to your presence faster than you could even process it. What they told you in Jurassic Park was an outright lie. It could see you, and it could see you better than you could ever see it. It's crucial to understand that the T-Rex was no mere thoughtless machine, as often portrayed in films. It was a 10-ton, 13-foot predator perfectly adapted to efficiently take down even colossal dinosaurs. It was hard to outrun due to its agility, impossible to hide from because of its keen sense of smell, difficult to go unnoticed given its sharp hearing and vision, and even tough to simply sense its presence, as it could even mask the vibrations from its steps. This was a true force of nature, a predator that would make your knees knock and instill a primal fear in your very bones. After all, people get spooked by ordinary predators that weigh barely 60 pounds. Now, just imagine how terrified you'd be if you found yourself in the Cretaceous period, deep in T-Rex territory, especially at night. You wouldn't hear it, wouldn't see it, and couldn't even gauge its distance by the vibrations of its steps. Yet, this 10-ton killing machine would be perfectly aware of your every move. Many tend to picture dinosaurs as clumsy, noisy giants. However, they were just as much animals as modern tigers, crocodiles, and birds, and they too knew how to be terrifying, perhaps even more so.